Apple just released the iPhone 13, and in this video, we're gonna compare it to the 12 and cover every single difference and answer two important questions. First off, should you save $100 and just go for the iPhone 12? And if you already have one, is it worth upgrading to the 13? We're gonna cover design differences, displays, CPU performance, graphics, speakers, camera differences, and much more. Just like last year, Apple is not shipping power adapters with these phones, so you will not get one in the box. That means you need to buy one yourself. And instead of buying Apple's, I would suggest this one from Anker. They are not a sponsor, but you can pick this up for as low as 11 bucks. It is small, it gives you full fast charging, and the prongs actually fold, making it more compact. I'll go ahead and leave a link to it down in the video description below. Right out of the gate, I see some massive differences. The first thing I gotta comment on are these lenses. You guys can see that it's now horizontal instead of being vertical, but look how much bigger they are. That is pretty crazy. The flash has been moved, the microphone has been moved, the bump itself is larger, and if we look at it from the side, the camera bump sticks out much more so, and that is because the 13 uses the camera system from the 12 Pro Max, which was $300 more expensive than the 12 last year. It has image stabilization, the sensor shifts. We'll take a look at cameras in just a bit, but that is a big difference. Now, the other thing I have to say is look at this color. This is the Starlight, but the back is super clean. It looks white. The side has a nice tint to it. I personally am really digging the look and the color of this. Because of that and the larger battery, the iPhone 13 has gotten heavier. You could definitely notice it side by side holding both of these, but I don't think anybody's gonna complain if you just buy one of them. Now, as far as dimensions, they are pretty much the same. The shape is the same, the screen size is the same, but Apple has made another change, and they moved all the buttons lower. On one side, the power button is lower. On the other side, the volume and the silent switch has also moved down, meaning that if you have smaller hands, it's gonna be easier to reach the buttons with the iPhone 13. Now, as far as battery life, Apple says that the 13 gets 2.5 hours more of battery life compared to the 12. That is a huge difference. Now, of course, we haven't tested it out for ourselves. So if you wanna know the real world difference in battery life, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below, because we will be putting out a review video along with a different comparison video for you guys to check out. And with that, you guys can also help us reach our goal of 1 million subscribers. We would definitely appreciate it. And now, taking a look at the displays, we could see that the biggest difference is the notch. For the first time since the notch came out, Apple has changed it. It is now a little bit less wide. Apple says it's 20% smaller, but it is actually slightly taller. The camera has been repositioned, and the speaker grill for the earpiece speaker is right there at the top, right next to the frame. Now, with the 13 Pro version, the Pro Max, it got a lot louder as far as speakers, so I'm excited to check out and compare the difference with these. And with that said, let's go ahead and compare the speakers and see if we have any difference. All right, guys, let me know your thoughts down in the comments section below. Now, to me, the difference between these two phones aren't as big as the difference between the 12 Pro Max and the 13 Pro Max. That was a massive difference, but the 13 is slightly louder and a little bit more rich than the 12. You do notice that. And along with that, the earpiece speaker, the one that's a little bit higher now, is louder as well. That's where the little bit of extra volume boost comes from. So it does sound a little bit more balanced left to right, which is great for watching movies, playing games, things like that. And now let's compare the displays, starting with brightness. I have both set to manual brightness, and as you can see, the iPhone 13 is brighter now. Apple boosted it from 625 nits up to 800, which is the same as last year's iPhone 12 Pros. So that definitely does help out, especially if you're outside in the bright sun. Other than that, they are exactly the same. We have the same contrast. The same brightness when you're watching HDR videos, viewing angles, color accuracy, everything else is identical. And now let's get into performance. The new iPhone 13 has the A15 Bionic processor compared to the A14, but how much does that really matter? Well, they both have the same core counts. The clock speed is higher on the new iPhone 13. And as far as RAM, they are identical. Both of them have 4 GB of RAM. So let's go ahead and run Geekbench's CPU test and we'll see how much of a difference that actually makes. All right, we have our results and it looks like as far as single core, we have a performance difference of about 10%. And in multi-core, we have a difference of 16%. So that is a worthwhile difference. You definitely get extra performance, but what this doesn't show is the energy or power efficiency of the new A15. So it is actually able to use the efficiency cores more often, and that is one reason why it has much better battery life as well. And now let's go back and we are going to compare the graphics difference because we definitely have a change there too. And take a look at that. That difference is probably the smallest difference I've seen in terms of graphics going from one generation of iPhone to another. That is only 12% difference. And that is because this year Apple prioritized the Pro models. Those actually have 5-core graphics that are much more powerful, probably about 50% more powerful than the iPhone 12s. And with the regular 13, they just gave it a little bit of improvement, but it's still a 4-core just like this one. Now with this 12% improvement, we also get an improvement in power usage when you're gaming or doing other tasks that need the graphics. So once again, that just helps you for battery life. So overall, I would just say that don't factor in or don't really care about what processor these phones have in them because the difference isn't that big. Now, one area where we do have a difference is the storage. The iPhone 13 comes with 128 gigabytes of storage for the same price as the 12 last year, whereas the 12, you get 64 for the $100 lower price. Now with that, I also want to test the performance of your storage. So let's go ahead and run this benchmark. All right, guys, this is really weird. Something we didn't expect. If we look at the performance difference, it is pretty big, at least in their read speed. Now, this particular iPhone 12, this is a 128 gig. I paid the $50 extra to upgrade, and we're getting 1,580 megabytes per second read compared to 867, both with 128 gigs. So it looks like this year, even though Apple gave you double the storage, they put in slower storage, at least in terms of read speed. Write is a little bit faster. We're looking at about 120, 140 megabytes per second faster. And then I also have my 13 Pro, which has 128 gigs, and this one is much faster. We also have that 1580, and then the write speed is even faster than that. So if you do buy a Pro phone, you get faster speeds. But with the iPhone 13, expect a little bit slower read speeds. And now let's talk about the cameras, and we do have some pretty big differences. Now the selfie camera didn't change in terms of hardware, but because of the new A15 Bionic processor, we have Smart HDR4, and as you can see in the selfie shot outside, we're getting so much more detail in that sunset instead of being blown out with the iPhone 12. And that was one of the things that I hated about my iPhone 12 with these kind of selfies. Now on the back, we have, as you guys see, the much bigger lenses. We have the little diagonal setup, and that is because the iPhone 13 takes the same best camera from the iPhone 12 Pro Max and puts it in this body. So we have larger sensors that have image stabilization, lets in more light, and then the ultra wide was also much improved compared to before. Now, not only do you get better image quality, but in some of these images that don't look that different, the new iPhone 13 will take the photo much quicker in night mode because of the extra light. So instead of having to wait, say 2, maybe 3 seconds, it could do it in 1 second, and that is definitely convenient, and it helps have nice sharp images instead of sometimes having them turn out blurry. And along with that, we also have some differences for video. If you like high dynamic range video, you can actually shoot that up to 4K 60 with Dolby Vision, which is great. And then we have the new cinematic mode, which allows you to get blur with your video. So right now I'm recording Vadim there with the camera. I'm gonna tap on this iPad mini 6 box. You guys see we have portrait, just like for portrait photos, but it's blurring the video as well. I'm gonna tap back at him. So that is a really, really cool effect, something that works well. And of course, if it doesn't work out, you can actually disable it, which is great. It's not built into the video. And then with that, we can actually go to the front-facing camera, and then I can also record cinematic video with the front-facing camera. So that's something that is very cool, and it's exclusive to the iPhone 13 line. And with all of those things compared, let's answer our initial question. Is it worth the extra $100 more to get the iPhone 13 over the 12, or should you save your money? And is it worth upgrading from a 12 to a 13? Well, for the first question, it is absolutely worth the extra $100 to buy the iPhone 13. There's no way I would buy the 12 unless maybe you're buying a used one for like $500 or something like that. But the price difference, the extra $100 is well worth it. First off, you get the extra storage. That alone costs you $50 more for the iPhone 12, so that's only $50 difference for the 2.5 hours better battery life, better CPU and graphics performance, brighter display, less dimming when you're outside and it's hot. With that, you get the new cameras that are much improved. You get the cinematic mode. You have just so many other little things that they've updated. It is absolutely worth spending the extra $50 or $100 if you don't even need that extra storage. Now with that, is it worth upgrading from a 12 to a 13? This is where I would say no, I would not do that. If you already have a 12, I would wait one extra year. Or if you do want to upgrade, in that case, don't get the iPhone 13, go spend a little bit more money and get the 13 Pro. This thing has a lot of improvements, much faster graphics, better performance overall. You get the ProMotion display, a lot more. If you guys want, you guys could check out our actual video on this phone. And if you're interested and you're wondering, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't, I will actually be doing a comparison after 1 week of using these, the real world differences, and if it's worth the extra $200 jumping from here to here. You guys can subscribe to see that video. So there you guys go. Make sure to check out the Anchor charge down below. Click that button above to subscribe to help us also reach our goal of 1 million subscribers. Check out one of those great videos right over there. This has been Max, and I will see you in the next video.